What's up, Chicago? How's everybody doing tonight? I got a couple beers in me. I'm ready to roll. I got
Intro.
Brandon.
That's the intro.
The intro's deleted, Brandon. Thank you, though.
Is it?
Yeah, there was no intro, but thanks
Oh,
for
that's a
good
shame. I
pod
like.
here. It's good shit. I got Brandon Duplessis here. I got Darius Lockhart. That's our usual crew. And then we want to introduce a new member of the Monday show, Captain Salty. How you doing
What's up,
tonight, bud?
everybody? What's up? Go Bears!
Go Bears. Yeah, that's what we're here to talk. We already
What's
got the
going
chat
on, man?
blowing up. We got Cliff Victoria, Cheryl, always with the scores. We got Trax, Ant Mask. Guys, make sure you like, please. Make sure you share with a friend and ask them to like as we get our likes up. Bearski just jumped in. Thank you, bud. What's up? As we get our likes up, then we get our views up. You know, YouTube's following that. So we want to make sure we're on top of that. Obviously, hopefully you actually do like the show because we're out here giving you our best. We're here to talk Bears. We're here to have a little fun. Before we do that, we'll get to a sponsor. We got Bridges Scoreboard. It's our Northwest Indiana Chicago sports headquarters. Hall of Fame menu, coldest beer in Chicagoland, all right? They just had a great event yesterday, actually, with Cairo Santos, and Trax was out there, autographs, interviews, a lot of fun. So if you're ever in that area, Griffith, Indiana, hit them up. That's your go-to, all right? So, gentlemen, Bears season is upon us. We're coming up on it. Just a little under 2 weeks, actually, until we're there, 13 days. I want to just gauge you guys' feelings on where you're at with this team, where you're at with your expectations, and how you think they're going to approach these next 2 weeks in terms of roster management. So wherever you want to go, I'm open to it. We'll riff. We'll have some fun. We'll use the chat to produce some of our content as well. We'll shamelessly use you guys. So we'll start with Darius, man. How you feeling about this Bears team less than 2 weeks before the regular season starts? We're all excited, but how you feeling?
Full of optimism, man. I'm excited as well. I think we're gonna have a lot to look forward to. I think we're looking forward to a great season that's going to be better than the last 4 or 5 years.
Hell yeah.
I'm also looking forward to to see what kind of leaves falls off these trees during these cuts. You know, we still have room to fill certain positions. As far as kick return, O line, D line. You know, it could be some nice things that falls off these trees during cut season. So I'm looking forward to that. And
What
hopefully
exactly
no.
are you looking for, though, position wise? If you're talking about cuts from other teams and you're trying to enhance this
Yeah.
team, what are you looking for? What kind of apple is going to catch your eye?
Well, I think as far as kick returners is concerned, I think it's going to be some guys with a lot of speed out there. That's pretty good at the
If you
special
say
teams.
Kadarius Toney right now,
I said Kadarius Toney or Miko Hardeman. Either one
okay.
of those. You
So
know,
both guys that lost their team's games with fumbles and drop catches.
hey, listen, man. Listen. I like Hardeman especially,
Yeah.
Kadarius he has a whole lot of stuff with him, but I think he still could be valuable. I think he's better than anybody we have.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
our kickoff
Honestly.
returner went and
Yeah.
lost us a couple games on his own too.
I'm trying to tell you,
The
but
guy they're trying to force down our throats, that's gonna make the team, I believe. But our
you know how I go.
yeah,
But other than that, it could be some key guys that some rookies in outshadow, and then what I'm saying that's going to be pretty expensive. May get the axe.
okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'm looking forward to just to see. You never know. This is cut season is very interesting sometimes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
where we set, being that we've taken care of a lot of the holes that we have, but we still have a few to fill to make this thing complete. And I think this is a good time to do that.
Captain Salty, man, your inaugural show. What are you thinking in terms of what the Bears are going to do over these next couple of weeks before the season starts?
Well, yeah, these next couple of weeks is right. It's having 16 days off since the first game from the last bye. Feels like from last preseason. Feels like we're going to bye a week before the season even starts. I'm like, I just got my fix of football, and I got to wait through a bye week. I'm like, let's get on with it. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm positive with it. I'm bringing the energy. I mean, I got my own little 53-man roster right here, subject to change, of course. You know, guys that I've been watching. I watched every preseason game like I was studying for a college exam. Like, all right, breaking it all down, seeing who's good, who I don't like, who I do like. And I have utmost confidence in this team. I think even though we got all these holes to fill, just the fact that we went in the preseason with our backups and beat the rest of the league like a drum shows that maybe we're a little deeper than people are giving us credit for too. Because our backups are beating the hell out of our team's backups. So I mean that's a good sign to me when I see something like that. And
okay.
I think these cuts that are coming, because Hard Knocks isn't it on tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
They like to film that those cuts and stuff.
I can't wait for that.
Another one tonight or tomorrow before the show comes on, so they could play it on the show. I mean, maybe someone with you wouldn't see it coming.
Well, so that's interesting, and it's good that you're excited. Who you said you got your 53-man roster there? Who are like your last three guys in for this roster?
Well, I really like the way Hardy played. I think that he played really, really well on the line and stuff. Johnson, I know it was just one preseason game, but just his height and his speed and everything. And I know he's played in the league for years too, but never quite made it. And I think that Baskerville, I think he gonna make the team too, mostly because of the new kickoff rule, where before we would use more defensive backs because you need the speed to run the 40 yards or 50 yards, whatever they're running. Now I think that the kickoff will have more linebackers on there because you don't have to run as far. And I think that's going to help Noah, Sewell, and Baskerville make the team.
So you think the Hound of Baskerville is going to be chasing down these returners?
Pardon
me? So you think the Hound of Baskerville is
right. Yeah, sure. Sherlock Holmes reference. Yep.
Brandon, where are you at with this Bears team going into this regular season opener?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel the Vegas line is a good bet for anybody. I think they're now at 9.5, but I still think they win 10 games.
It went up a whole game?
What's that?
It went up from 8.5 to 9.5?
I believe it did, yeah.
When did that happen? I did not hear that.
I think it did. I thought I did a couple weeks ago. I thought I heard that on the score, but
okay.
I think it did, man. I'm almost positive it did.
For sure. Go for it.
But I still like that. I still like the bet. I like 10 games. They have the same concerns they did before the season started. The edge rush is going to be it's going to be overwhelmed against good offensive lines, and I think the interior offensive line is going to be overwhelmed against quality defensive lines. So I see the Bears having the same problems there. They got better at quarterback. They got better in skill positions. They got better on defense in the back and on the tail end of the field. So Kevin Byard's an upgrade from Eddie Jackson. He is. The Ravens keep posting all this Eddie Jackson this and Eddie Jackson that. Just wait till he changed his number back to 39, so he's going to be the same guy he was. Yeah, wait till the season starts.
Still can't tackle 39.
No, there's things that got him. There's a reason he's not a Bear, but I do think that they're going to make an acquisition this in the coming 2 weeks, and I think Dustin, it's right where you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think, or maybe Darius brought it up. I think they're going to trade maybe super late round pick. I don't know. But they already traded. Yeah, they traded 2 6. They still have a 7th. Maybe trade a 7th for a guy who's returned a decent amount of kicks before or punts for a team. Like maybe a guy who wasn't splash making plays, returning touchdowns, but a guy who can at least he's good at fielding the ball, calling the fair catch, and return it when it's possible. Because they just don't have that. They really don't. They don't have a guy who I don't trust to not make a mistake on this roster right now. And Bayless Jones is going to do that, and then Blackwell, every time he was out there, instead of calling for a catch, he let the ball go and it went 20 yards past him, and he pinned the Bears in the 5. So if he can trade a 7th round pick for just a if you trade a 7th-round pick for just a guy who's had a quality
Sure
amount of
hands, sure
turns,
head on his shoulders, just
knows the fair catch from the return. You
be
know what I mean?
decent
We
at
had,
that spot.
we had that guy last year, but he could only return it 4 yards, and I think he only dropped the one the entire year. He catch
Yeah,
it like this.
and I don't love it. I think that's just the boat the Bears kind of that's the ship they sailed, right? I they didn't address it. Velus Jones was somebody they were hoping for more from, and I still don't think they trust him as a punt returner, no matter what he
No.
does in the kick return. So
Yeah.
That was Trent Taylor, right? Trent Taylor.
Yeah, it
Taylor,
was the little
exactly.
white guy from the Bengals. Yeah, I don't think though that you have the luxury of expecting a player who can do both big returns and know when to fair
Right.
catch the ball, when to return it. They need a guy who can make that play safe in regards to mistakes. I mean, you guys know fumbling those plays take everything out of a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you stop your defense goes out there, they stop an offense 3 and out, let's say, and then you punt the ball and your guy fumbles it away. That's it's the worst thing in football, probably, honestly. So I see a 7th-round pick trade for somebody like that. I really do, but maybe they think they've got it on this roster. I personally don't think they do. If they do, it's Roma Dunze. It's somebody we haven't seen do it yet.
Yeah.
I think with
Um,
the moves that they made, guys, here recently, they're kind of shoring things up, and this is going to be the roster we're rolling with. A kick returner, someone that's solid
Punt
hands,
returner, more importantly, yeah, somebody who can.
solid head on their shoulder, both.
So you don't think Carter?
yeah.
You don't think Carter will be the punt returner? Right
No.
now,
He
I think
didn't
he
get
might
a
be
whole
that
lot of.
right now.
He didn't get a lot of opportunity in preseason, which says to me he's not gonna be the guy they move forward with.
Nah, man.
They shared
didn't
that
let him.
duty though.
Right here, guys, we got Rick Mosby saying, I think Poles has a trick up his sleeve. Hassan Reddick. I don't want any
No,
part
I
of
don't think he's got a paycheck up his sleeve. He might have a
No.
trick.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the whole thing with the Judon thing was that he wanted a long-term deal in place to make the trade for him, right? And he wanted it to be under the Bears stipulations of how they wanted that deal to work. And Judon wanted to bet on himself and hopefully get a better deal next year. That's the way that really turned out. I don't think Reddick is better than Judon right now, and I don't think I want to pay Reddick what he wants to
I
be
think
that.
Reddick's better than Judon right now. I do. I don't think. I don't.
I don't agree with
I think
that.
he's worth a lot more.
Judon's better.
I think
You
he's
think
worth a
so?
lot more.
I think
So
so,
I
yeah.
think Judon would have made a lot more sense if you were gonna make that move because Judon's not gonna get paid anywhere near what Reddick's gonna ask for.
I mean, at the end of the day, man, I want the better guy. But I just don't, I don't like this whole thing with Hassan Reddick is a little funky, man. Like it's just something about it that's not really
Yeah.
sitting well with me, bro.
It's
Well, the coach-
mismanagement on both sides.
the coach-
Mismanagement
Yeah.
from his end, mismanagement from the Jets end, because like
Yeah.
they
And
should have had
the
this
head
out
coach
before
said,
the trade.
and the head coach said, we don't care about your trade request. You're not going anywhere. Like I don't.
Yeah, but they
Dallas-
shouldn't have traded for him if they weren't ready to pay him either.
Yeah.
Like
No,
that- Yeah.
I'm on Team Reddick, man. The Jets seem to do the wrong thing at every chance they get, but it looks like the Jets are going to kind of hold him hostage. So I don't know if it's going to work out for any team, especially not the Bears.
Yeah, that you start accounting for the draft capital that you're giving up
Yeah.
to a guy like that, and then the money you're gonna pay them, and they're on the back end of their career probably. Like I don't know if I'm in for that. I think the Bears roster is locked up kind of with the move, like the Darrell Taylor and the Chris Williams trade. I think they kind of feel like they shored this up. What do you think, Salty?
Well, I want to answer Ant Mass's question on there is up for a second. I said I think ball security is the most important thing for a punt returner. Say 10 yards, but with the potential for a breakaway. You got to have the potential to break away too. 10-yard return on a punt, but ball security is the most.
Well, that's Velus Jones. If he ever figured out the ball
Yeah,
security, that's
the
Velus
potential
Jones.
is
Yeah.
there. So,
I think you should have the ability to strike fear in your opponent on every chance you get, man. I
Right.
mean, no let up. We don't want any team feeling good about punting, kicking it off,
Right.
our offense or our defense. We don't want nobody to rest on nothing when it comes to us, man.
right,
And
but
that's
you don't want the Bears defense to stop a team and then a punt returner to put the
Yeah.
defense back on the field. That's a worse feeling.
And
Yeah, that's a
Those
mean
guys are
momentum shift
dangerous
right there.
it's not a fumble like at midfield or it's all the way down there by
Yeah, depending on where you at.
Yeah.
Depending on where you at when you catch that punt, you might be putting the team in a red zone off the rip.
Yeah, and Bruja here is echoing your sentiments there, Salty. I think 10 yards is the minimum return that the special teams coach had said on Hard Knocks. So that's what we're looking for, like that 10 yards, like you said, with the potential to turn it into something more if it breaks right.
Right.
Yeah. Hopefully we can find somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, if we can get a 60-40 return on that thing, 60% safe, 40%,
I just
big
want a
playability.
guy who's going to ensure that our offense gets back on the field when they're required to. Like that,
And is not put in a bad position where the ball's at the 2-yard line because you let it bounce.
Punt returns for touchdowns come very seldomly, even from the best in the league.
Sure.
Yes, they will get you more yards. They typically, I think the best returner averages around 23 yards per kick return. For punt return, I think it's like 16. So yeah, I would love that guy, but as long as I got a guy who's out there who knows what the hell he's doing, I think that's the way Matty Eberflus runs a team. Do your damn job. You don't gotta be the hero on this team. Just
very brass tacks.
Yeah.
Very brass tacks.
And I think we all know. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Salty.
I think you have enough mistakes on special teams anyhow, because most of the time that's the bottom part of your bench there, and those guys are getting the blocks in the back and the holding, and it'll be like, oh, the guy he makes his one play of the game, and you get to see him, and they're the backup, so they're already making enough mistakes. Just get it. Catch the punt, get your 10 yards, get down, and let the starters get back out there.
Yeah, and we all understand that Devin Hess is not walking in the locker room.
Yeah, give Caleb the ball, man. I want Caleb
not to suit up and catch a kickoff or a punt.
Speaking of Devin Hester, guys. Speaking of Devin Hester, go to TC's World of Wonders if you want your Devin Hester jersey. All right, they got all your dream Chicago sports jerseys.
Maybe they'll stitch you a gold jacket.
You're going to check out Tom's line of gear and collectibles at tcsworldofwonders.com. You can get yourself a jersey like Salty has on there, that Walter Payton, it looks like, right?
Yep, Walter, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Clean
all right, so then if here's the question then. We're talking about what we think the Bears can need, and these are minimal on the margins moves that we're talking about.
Yeah.
If they don't make any moves at all, how are we feeling about this team going into the season opener against the Tennessee Titans, Brandon? How do you feel with this roster as it stands right now? Obviously, they're going to make cuts, but we kind of know who's all going to be here. Mm-hmm. So what are you feeling about getting the dub for our home opener, Brandon?
Right. I think the roster is still better than the Titans, and I think the roster is better than most of the teams they play this year, and that's why I feel good about the Bears. I do still feel like they have an issue in the trenches on both sides of the football. Now, you can't fix all the problems all the time, and they've added talent around a quarterback that can maneuver in the pocket. He's got great pocket awareness, and he can get out of the pocket and move the pocket itself. So I don't know if the interior offensive line is going to be detrimental to the Bears having a double-digit win season. I don't think it is. I do think the edge rush thing is I think if the Bears don't apply enough pressure on even bad quarterbacks, that your secondary is incredible, but can only hold. That's the most cohesive unit in sports. Your secondary is going to fail if your pass rush does. That's just the way it works. I don't think. I'm going to be honest, guys. This is probably the first time I'm saying this. I don't think the Bears are a Super Bowl team. I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're have the capability of winning one playoff game. I think all the coaches. I don't know that any of the coaches have appeared in the playoffs. Eric Washington has, but was he a defensive coordinator? I think he was just a defensive line coach, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think as coordinators or a head coach, any of these guys have been in the playoffs. So for them to go to the playoffs and actually win a game, because experience is the big thing, right? When you're in the playoffs, if they actually win a game, I think it's a really successful season. Really successful season for the Bears.
Yeah,
that's where I see the train derail.
For sure. And as Cliff said, the Bears are 4.5-point favorites against the Titans coming up. And Cliff, thank you so much, man. Make sure you hit that like button. Rick, Patty, Bruja, cheers, my man. Make sure you guys hit that like button, all right? Like and subscribe. So 4.5-point favorites, Salty. What do you think? Do you think that's a solid number for the Bears in this home opener?
Oh, 4.5. Yes, I think it's we're going to completely cover that 4.5-point spread. And real quick to touch on that defensive line, I'm okay with them right now, and especially with Booker. I know he's 5th-round pick. Next year he'll be much better. It'll also be better toward the end of the year. My worry about the defensive line is if Sweat goes down. What if he goes down? Now our pass rush is a little bit scary.
Real quick though, Salty. When Montez Sweat was acquired, the defense played much better. Montez Sweat applied pressure, but it didn't really help anyone on the line so much. Like Jervon played a little better. He didn't get home, so you still. Eberflus, when he took over play calling, kind of happened close to the time that Montez Sweat was acquired. So it's like people didn't realize the Bears were just blitzing a lot, and that's how they were getting home. And that's what he's going to do this year, because that's my concern. Is there's still not enough coming from the pass rush on the 4 guys up front. You're going to have to use Kyler Gordon. You're going to have to use maybe Noah Sewell gets in a package somehow. You're going to have Taylor's going to be in there, but he's going to be standing up, right? Darrell Taylor's going to be standing up. He's not going to have his hand in the dirt. So you're going to have to still get to these guys, and he's going to have to be creative. He's going to have to be creative to get to the quarterback. There's no doubt.
I think Taylor's going to have his hand in the dirt. He played in the 3-4 before, but now he's in the 4-3. He's going to have his hand in the dirt.
I don't think so.
No, yes, sir.
So.
Hold on, real quick. Trax just put this out here. It's breaking news in regards to CSP, Chicago Sports Podcast, so I want to mention it. Bridges is saying that Cairo is talking to our punter, Torrey Taylor, about coming to Bridges. So that's a pretty cool
the man down under.
Yeah. He can come over to Griffith, Indiana, and
Crocodile punter.
Hell yeah! So I mean, I just wanted to mention that real quick.
So I watched a bunch of Darrell Taylor film, and the end across from him in Seattle was always hand in dirt, and Taylor still stood up.
The Bears would not have traded for him if they didn't think he could be a hand in the dirt player, though. I think they traded for him for edge.
What's the difference? If he's better, if he's better, not. What's the difference?
It's not a huge difference, but I think what Salty's trying to say is that he's going to be rushing the quarterback.
He's going forward.
That's all he's used
backing up.
Yeah. If you're in the stand-up position, it's the potential to drop back into zone. It's the potential to drop back into a zone or potentially play man coverage. He's going to be tasked with getting after the quarterbck.
Right,
that's
but he's going to be. I meant physically, he's going to be standing upright.
All right, so just the terminology miscommunication. It's okay.
He's going to play as if he's an outside linebacker rushing the quarterback. That's how he's going to play.
I think the most important thing is that he's going to be rushing the quarterback. But I kind of agree with Salty here. I mean, he's going to be a defensive end in this defense. He is not going to be a linebacker.
What he always has been.
For sure.
He just doesn't do hand in the dirt. I'm telling you, he doesn't. He's not a get up and get off the snap quick guy. He's got to stand up. That's what he does. I'm telling you.
Okay, but do you like
you're going to watch him stand up?
Quick. Okay, let's move on from this. Do you like Taylor as a defensive end option opposite Montez Sweat?
Yeah, I do. I think he's. So what I'm telling you guys is, in Seattle, he didn't play linebacker. He was the guy on the end of the line on four-man rush. He was that guy. He didn't play with. Go watch his film. He didn't play with his hand in the dirt, but he was a defensive end. That's what he turned into in the NFL. He wasn't They used him in pass in coverage a little bit, but I don't think it ever did him any favors. He plays standing up on the end of the line in a 4-man front. That's why the Bears like this guy. That is literally why they like him.
Well, I think they like him because they're going to use him as a specialist to rush the passer on
that's all he's going to do.
And that's the point that Ant Mass is making here. Who was that? Cliff Victoria, Taylor and Booker are both QB rushers. They're going to be third and long guys. Thank you, Cliff. Yeah, I agree. I think he's going to be a pass rush specialist. That's why the Bears went after him, and that does make me feel a little better about the defense. Pass rush. How do you feel about that, Darius?
I feel pretty good about it. I've been on record saying that as far as his production and as far as his speed on the edge, I compared him a lot to Leonard Floyd as a Bear. Because Leonard Floyd's main problem as a Bear wasn't necessarily he couldn't get to the quarterback because of his speed. It was because he was just such a slender dude at the time. He had to get stronger, But when he did have his chance to get to the quarterback, he did have a nice burst off the line. But yeah, I've been on record as comparing him to Leonard Floyd, and I think he can get to. I'm hopeful, because this is a potential base signing, a trade, and accusation.
It's a rental. That's what it is.
Yeah, could be
with potential to be
but
more.
We never know. If he comes in and gives us 7 to 8 sacks, and we get what we get from Booker,
Yeah, but
And
they're still going to
7 to
draft
8
an,
sacks would be amazing.
they're
that's
still
what
going
I'm
to
saying.
draft
But I
an
mean,
edge
of course
first
we're still
overall.
going to draft. Of course we're still going to
Or
draft.
first
You know
round. Yeah.
that. I mean, you wouldn't be like Poles and Cunningham will be. We would have our rights to be critical of them if they didn't draft one. You know, in the first round or first or second round, or acquire one in free agency. You know, if it's a big time edge rusher.
Yeah.
But I think this is a potential pickup. You know, I think he has the potential to give us between 7 to 9 sacks. That's what it
There's,
that's
I
what
100% agree. That's what I said on CSP
that's
last
what
That,
his
night.
that would be
resume
amazing.
says. That's what his resume says. And if he's able to give us that on top of what we get from Montez Sweat and Booker,
Huge.
hey man, we got something. We working with
Yeah.
something.
Salty, what do
Now
you
what we
expect?
have to ensure is that that the guys up front stay healthy.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
know, if I be critical at any spot on the defensive line, it'll be the defensive tackle spot, mainly the three technique. I like Billings. He's very stout in the run game. I can appreciate that. But we have to get what we need to get from Javon Dexter. If not, we have to find it somewhere. We
Okay.
have to.
From
Like,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
because
one.
the reason why I say that because that three technique is a key cog to this defense. We can be great everywhere else.
Every defense, really.
Yeah, we can be great in every other position. But if the guys if we have to depend on the blitz to get to the quarterback all the time, we're in trouble. And we've done that. We've done that a lot in the preseason. A lot of blitzing, which caused a lot of turnovers. But I don't think that's sustainable. Going through a 7 to 18 game season, and especially getting to the playoffs. Because once we make it to the playoffs, all the regular season stuff is out the window. But you know what I'm saying? These guys, when they're looking at us now, they're dissecting. You know what I'm saying? They're dissecting, and then they're going to be able to pick up this blitz sooner or later. Unless he has about 7 to 8 different ones. But we have to get the pressure with the guys up front. So
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? That we
Yeah,
have
no,
to. I'm being very critical of this three technique because we didn't see much of it this preseason.
No, it was
Well,
bad.
we've all talked about the three technique. So, I mean, I want to hear what Captain Salty has to say about Javon Dexter and how he's going to fill that void at the three technique.
Well, Dexter, like last year, you even saw him. Excuse me, he looked a little pudgy. And as soon as I saw his first clip when he gave it to training camp, I'm like, this guy looks shredded. And just hearing him talk, and he wants to be better. You can see the drive in him. You can see that he wants to get better. So even last year when we got Sweat, he was still a rookie. He wasn't going to improve that much. Now the guy at the other end that we released that probably wanted to come back to us, I can't even pronounce his name. I gave up through the season last year.
Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah,
But he did improve after Sweat got on the team. He was totally nothing before Sweat. He might have had one sack before Sweat got on the team. Then he probably got up to 5, 6 or 7, maybe 5.
He ended up with 4.5. He ended up with 4.5 sacks on the season.
Well, he probably got 3.5 of those after Sweat got here. So he improved a little bit. But right, if we can get like 7.5 out of the new guy that we just picked up, and Booker gives us 3 or 4, and Walker falls into 2 of them, now you end up with 12, 13 sacks on that end with Sweat on the other end. It's now we're putting some numbers together. We need to have that push up the middle, though. So important. And Billings doesn't look like the greatest athlete of all time. He never really has that giant push. Now, he's a good run stopper. He can clog the hole, but he isn't going forward. I was hoping Pickens would come in this season, and he would have a transformation, too, and be like, oh, he's in his second year. He can push for that spot, but it doesn't look like it.
Well, Billings is going to fill that hole of being a people eater.
Right.
He's going to take up those blocks so that a Javon Dexter hopefully is then able to beat his guy one-on-one. We do want Billings to be that run stuffer. I mean, I think he plays his role really well. I think in general, if we're talking about this Bears defensive line, a good number for us to target as an over-under on sacks is probably 33 to 35. I think like if we're at that 35 or over,
Yeah.
then we're having a pretty damn phenomenal season.
That's
If we're
right.
not, then our defensive backfield is going to be having to do a lot. One guy that you mentioned that I think is very important to this, maybe not so much at the beginning of the season, but definitely by the end of the season, I think he could be the starter opposite Sweat, is Austin Booker. I think Austin Booker has all the tools and all the traits that you look for in that defensive end. I'm a little taken aback. I understand the guy's had 10 sacks and 6 sacks in his two seasons in Taylor, but I'm a little taken aback that you guys expect so much from him. I would love that, because I don't think he's going to have enough. I think he's going to be a rotational player and really a specialist to rush the passer on like that the third down and long. I mean, like a NASCAR package type of thing. He'll be coming in on that. But I really expect Austin Booker to step up and stand out, because I think he can really set the edge against the run and get after the quarterback. He has those two traits that are important to that defensive end position, especially opposite a guy like Montez Sweat.
Can I ask you guys a question? Where do you think the Bears finish in sacks over the year?
I just said I think 35 is a solid number. I was just saying that. What do you think?
Well, so out of the top 14 teams, 16. So the teams that made the playoffs, out of the top 16, 11 of them were top in the league in sacks.
What's that number?
Do I think the Bears finish in the top 16 in sacks? Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What do you think the defense will be ranked though at the end of the year, not counting the sacks?
I have somewhere between 12 to 14.
So way worse than last year.
Well, no, last year, the last 8 weeks, they were the first.
Yeah, overall.
Over the season, I believe they were 11. over the.
So
over
worse than last year, not way worse.
Yeah.
So then, what inspires you to think that the Bears are going to be worse this year than last year? I think with the addition of Eric Washington and with drafting Austin Booker and this defensive backfield, you got Jaquan Brisker going into a really make or break year for him.
I don't necessarily say the defense is going to be worse. The defense finished last year with 30 sacks total. I think they're going to finish. They're going to finish with more than that. Yeah. But do I put them in the top 16 teams in sacks? Do you? Where do you guys put them in sacks?
Like I said, 35 is a solid number for me. If they hit 40,
they finished with 30. They finished 30 with 30 sacks last year. Where do you think they're ranked?
I think middle of the road for sacks is fine because that's primarily the defensive line's job.
But where do you think 30 sacks ranks in the league last year?
Oh, probably 20th.
Darius, where do you think 30 sacks ranks?
Like 15.
The Bears were 31st out of 32 teams last year in the NFL for sacks. 31st with 30 sacks. The number one team was Baltimore, which Baltimore led almost every defensive position. They had 60, double the amount the Bears had. So let's say the Bears finished, Dustin said 35. Let's say they finished with 35. That team last year was ranked 27th in the league. So I think the Bears. I agree with Taylor with you, Darius. I agree Taylor is a 7 to 9 sack guy. That number, I thought you pitched that beautifully because that's literally what I said I believe he needs to provide in order for this team to be better. I think they still finish with somewhere probably around 40 sacks instead of 30. That's giving them 10 more, and that still ranks you 25th or 26th overall in the NFL.
Yeah, I was thinking along lines like 42.
So the numbers, no matter how you pitch it, from 30th place last year, adding one guy, Taylor, right, and Booker, we'll count Booker. I'll throw Booker in there, and expecting Dexter's production to improve. You're not going to go from 30 sacks to 55. Your respect, like this is a respectable number, you're probably going to go from 30 sacks to around 40, right? Let's give them 40. They're still way outside the top 20.
What was the average? Just out of curiosity, if you have
guys, are you hearing that noise? Is that?
Yeah, what is that?
I am hearing that noise.
What is that?
I don't hear it now.
Me neither. What the hell is going on here? Dustin, try logging out and logging back in.
Yeah. So
let me ask you, like, so you said 42, Darius?
Yeah, like 42.
So if
42,
the sack
44.
numbers are that low, let's say 42, which places them probably about 24th in the league, is this a top 10 defense in the NFL?
Well, I think with sacks come in as turnovers.
Right.
So we have to see.
So if they're somewhere in the bottom of the league for sacks, like what do we feel?
If we were 31st last year in the league and we're 11th, if we get up to 12 more sacks, how does that move us not from 11th to the top 10?
I think. Go ahead. I think the 11th overall ranked defense had a lot to do with the run defense. I think they were ranked first in the league in run defense. I think
that's what I was about to say.
But we all know our secondary is banger, though.
But I'll say this to you, Salty. They got better. The 30 sacks they had, I think more than half of them came in the last 8 weeks because Sweat was acquired. So it doesn't justice, like, to your point. They got better after Sweat was acquired, and I expect their sack numbers to be up. I do. Sure. Like I just said, I expect 40, even 42. I think Darius that's reasonable. But do I think that makes them the pass rush that they need against? So here's what I was saying earlier: is the first 8 weeks of this season, they play really inexperienced quarterbacks like Jaden Daniels, Drake May, J.J. McCarthy. He's gone now, but guys who was drafted last year, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. So, and with not top 5 offensive lines, but when you get to the guys like Detroit who have top 5 offensive lines, the first offensive line in the league, that's where I think the Bears are going to, like, that's where I think 10 wins is reasonable. And that's where I think the Bears defense goes from maybe a top 7 or 8 ranking down to again 11 or 12, like 12 to 14 even. That's where I expect them to be, because they're going to face these teams in their division and they're going to really struggle to get to the quarterback. And unfortunately, those are quarterbacks in Jared Goff and Jordan Love that are going to tear you apart.
I think in the beginning of the year, either because we were struggling so badly. I mean, I think did we start out the year we still had our losing streak intact? That when you're losing, you can't afford yourself to be going, sending any blitzes and stuff and giving up. You blitz more when you're winning than when you're losing. When you're, like they say, you can pin your ears back when you're up by a couple of scores. But we weren't up by a couple of scores last year, especially in the beginning of the year. So we were just rushing the bait.
The Bears were infamously famous for losing games up by a couple of scores, though, as well. They broke the record. They broke the record over Eberflus's tenure. Sorry, Darius, go ahead. You were going to say something.
But yeah, I'm gonna make a few people cringe. I may even get a few people upset with what I'm about to say. Not only did our defense improve because of Sweat, it also improved because of the caliber of quarterbacks we were facing down the stretch of the year. Now, a lot of people don't like to include that, but this is an actual fact. And I believe our schedule, especially the first couple of games, is favorable to us in that area, meaning that the high chances of getting pressure on those quarterbacks to turn and causing them to turn the ball over is very high due to either their inexperience or just straight up, not being that good. You know what I mean? Now, sacks are important, but don't get me wrong. But I think the more important stat here is quarterback pressure.
Thank you, sir.
Rushing that ball out of the quarterback's hand, it may be more important than a sack.
It'll lead to mistakes. That's okay.
So how do you feel about the fact that I believe Jervon Dexter he played, I think, 4.5 quarters, so over an entire game, had 2 pressures over the course of the preseason against second-string offensive linemen.
Right. Now, that's what I'm saying, Brandon. That's why I'm critical of that 3 technique position. You know what I'm saying? That's where, Like I can live with everything else, but I haven't seen what I need to see from that three technique position. Yeah, now he can bat the ball down and all of that stuff, but we need to see him putting pressure up the middle, because that's the quickest way to
You
the
guys,
quarterback
and I was
up the
I'm not
middle.
being a Debbie Downer. Like I said, I think
No,
the
no,
Bears
no, no.
can win
Listen,
10
You
games. I
say
think they
that
if
way
we
too
can.
much
if
to
we
not
want
be
to if we
Debbie
want to
Downer.
call, listen, you can be a downer. It's cool, long as
Yeah,
you're being
I
real.
still think I don't think it's enough to not. They're going to win 10 games. I don't think
Yeah, of
their
course.
issues are going to cause them enough to not win and possibly be in the playoffs. And it would take a really good season out of the NFC for the Bears not to make the playoffs, which is not. Come on, guys, it's the NFC. It's not going to happen.
The
So
way I
Well,
feel,
I think they'll
here's
be
what
there.
it boils down to, guys. Here's what the league leader in sacks is usually in that 48 to 52 range, somewhere in there. If the Bears are over 35, then they're close to that 40 range, and they can be middling. Okay, because I don't know that anyone here is expecting our pass rushers to go gangbusters. It doesn't sound like that.
The top 10 teams had 48 plus sacks.
Yep. So we're gonna need those QB pressures that Darius is talking about, because that's gonna benefit our defensive backfield, which is our strongest component of the defense, right?
Of the team,
So
probably.
I mean, you could argue the receiver group, but we won't go there at this moment. But in terms of the defense, for sure, it is the strongest part of the defense. It's the strongest core group. So, I mean, if the Bears are providing enough pressure to make their jobs easier, like you're saying, Brandon, they can still go 10-7, 11-6 because of that defensive backfield stepping up. That I think that's where we kind of fall with this, because I don't think anybody's going to predict here that the Bears are going to have 50 sacks this season.
No, I don't think
and win
anybody's predicting.
14
I
games.
don't think anybody's predicting a. I don't think anybody's predicting a Super Bowl season for the Bears either. So like, they kind of coincide. The issues that the Bears have will probably be what ends up shooting them in their own. I mean, that's just what like teams are better. There's no doubt, especially in the trenches. And to me, guys, that's where the game starts. It
You have
is.
to
It
remember,
is.
last year, our defensive coordinator was a mess. So we
He was-
still
he was-
don't know what
he was
really happened.
Yeah, he was let go. Yeah.
He was like, oh, and we still, nobody went in. If I were one of those reporters, I'd be pressing him like, well, by the way, what really was going on? But you know what happened? You'd be kicked out of there. You'd never be able to ask a question again, because it was something really shady.
Yeah, but
going on.
Salty, you got to say this. That was a blessing because that guy was sucking anyways.
It was terrible. Well, his
I
mind
didn't
was
like
on
the
something
hire when
else.
it happens.
No, he was
I didn't
terrible.
like the hire.
He was. Aaron Williams was terrible. It was one of the worst. I don't know why that guy got the job. Nothing made sense about it.
Because of his connection with Flus in Indianapolis. That's why he got the job.
When Flus probably wouldn't have taken that play calling over if he didn't have to be what they called excused. But
Right.
Well,
That
this
was
is a good topic to jump on right now.
Now,
That's a good topic to jump on. Hold on one sec, guys. So I just want to shout out another sponsor, River Street Tavern in East Dundee. All right. You can go see Chicago's biggest games there, get the most delectable food. Kyle's a server there. He's on CSP with us. So, I mean, you can go check him out. Get some good sports talk while you eat your food and drink your beer. Elevated Chicago Pub that serves Chicago's best sports eats. All right. Wednesdays, burger nights, $2, buy your own burgers, domestic and micro brews, and great times. All right. So go check out River Street in East Dundee. And then from that, guys, I really want to move on to what you were just talking about, Brandon. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Are we expecting Eberflus to manage this defense and call plays all season and this team to be successful? Are we expecting Eberflus to be as successful as he can be as a head coach if he is solely focused on the defensive play calling? I'm going to pass this one to Darius.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Darius?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have to. We have to expect him to be, who the world said he was before he got here. Meaning that he was a great defensive coordinator. So we expect him to, if he's going to call this defense, we expect him to do it, and we expect those guys on the field to play at a high level, because of his influence. I mean, last year, was a shamble off the field or whatever, with all the disagreements and all the negative things that was happening. And Eberflus kept this thing together. and guys stayed together, and guys showed that they still believe in the head coach. You know, he's going to be who he is, right? But it's up to the players to display what he
But who
wants on
is
the
he?
field.
Is he a defensive coordinator or is he a head coach?
Well, I mean, he's both now.
But can that be sustainable is the question.
Yeah, I think it can be. I mean, because you're only as good as the guys that you have around you. Okay. Last year wasn't the best group. You know, shoot, the offense and defense wasn't even. I mean, the offense and defense wasn't even speaking as far as the coaches are concerned. You know, I think this is a better aligned group. These guys trust each other. You know what I'm saying? These guys understand that it starts, you know, from them to bring out the best in the guys on the field.
Right.
So yeah, I do believe, you know, and it ain't because of the haircut and the beard. I think it's mainly because of his influence. I think that's big.
Yeah, he
I
had the
mean,
whole
Washington is there. He's definitely an upgrade in what we had. You
right.
know, and on the other side of the ball, Shane
And he
Waldron
called
is definitely
plays.
an upgrade. Shane Waldron is definitely an upgrade, you know what I'm saying, from what we had on that side. I mean, because one thing, I hate to get too far off of it, but one thing we have to consider for the success of our defense is the ability of our offense to put points on the board. You know, it's a lot different. A defense hits a lot different when you're playing with a lead,
Yeah,
especially as the
like
game
playing
gets
from
closer.
that side of the field, and that's where our punter comes in too. You know,
Yeah,
instead of giving up the ball at the 50 and the defense having to fight from the 50 to the end zone, having them start at their 10 or 20 is going to be a big difference.
Yeah, like I think I
Well,
brought this up before with teams like in the past with teams like the Peyton Manning led coach and also the New Orleans Saints led by Drew Brees. You know, those guys, the offenses that those guys had were good enough to have big leads to force the other team's offense to be in a pass heavy situation. And I
all right.
think with what we have on offense, you know what I'm saying, is going to put us in a lot of great positions on defense. So I think Eberflus will have a good grasp of being a head coach and a defensive coordinator.
I can agree with that. And we got like almost 100 in the building. You guys are
Thanks,
participating,
guys.
killing it. Ant Mass, Cliff,
Shout out to the chat.
Calvin Swanson just jumped in with us. Plank, Rick Mosby. Thanks so much. Trax is in here. Thanks so much, guys,
Thank
for
you,
your
guys.
participation. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I mean, my biggest concern, Brandon, is can Flus focus on the things that this team needs him to focus on? I mean, we hired Eric Washington for a reason. He brings a play calling ability to this team. Can he focus on the things he needs to focus on? Because, like you said, Darius, last year, the offense and the defense, the communication was not good there. Flus needs to control his team. Yeah. Can he do that while calling plays? I mean, I'm sure he's a great play caller. He's showed that, and they did rally behind him. But this year, when you said it, Darius, the standards have changed. They've gone higher. Does Eberflus need to consider passing on this defensive play calling duties so that he can focus on maintaining those standards, Brandon?
Yeah, I absolutely think he does. And I think he knows that. I think he's aware of that. I think Poles is aware of that. I think Eberflus really liked Eric Washington. This wasn't a Poles hire so much from what I read as it was a Matt Eberflus hire, because Eric Washington called all the plays through the preseason, guys, and we saw Kyler Gordon coming off the edge. He's just adapting to what Eberflus called last year. I'm sure Washington watched some tape from the Bears last year. They gave Washington the play calling in the preseason for a reason, because I agree with you, Dustin. I don't think, even if Eberflus is capable of it, is it something that you want him to be doing? Probably not. And did he hire the guy that he hired for that reason, right? You got to trust the people that you hire. Like, if you're a general manager in any business and you hire an assistant manager, you don't do so that you can do his job, right? Mm-hmm. That's just not the way business works, and it doesn't make anybody's life easier. I think Washington was hired to call the plays. I think they let him call the plays in the preseason to kind of give him a little bit of an audition, and I think he literally just called what Flus was going to call. Sure. I mean, does it seem like Eric Washington's, the way he's running the defense is much different from the way that Flus did? I don't think so.
No, I think that's
I would be shocked if by like week 5 Eberflus is still calling the plays because he shouldn't be. Like Dustin said, there is so much more to worry about. There really is. He's got to be in charge of everything. And he's got to oversee Waldron too. He's not going to call plays on offense. He's not going to suggest to Waldron what to call an offense, but he's going to manage the personnel for sure. So I think that Washington was hired to call plays. Flus said he's going to do it. That might change before the season starts, but if it doesn't, it's going to change early in the season. Sorry, Salty, go ahead.
No, that's fine. But I agree with you. But I believe that Flus wants to run his defense. And he got Washington to teach him what this is and be his protege. This is my defense. This is how we run it. And he's had, unlike last year when he was thrown right into it, these guys on the defense, they were learning his defense on the fly. Now they went through a whole training camp with the Flus defense, and so is Washington also. Washington just, like you said, like Darius was saying, the communication is phenomenal. It seems like between everybody. Everybody seems to be getting along. It might have a lot to do with number 18, but everybody seems to be bonding very, very well. And I think there's no infighting, and I think it's a bunch of peace and love in that building. And I think they're all pushing toward the same goal. Washington just takes over for Flus the way Flus does it, and I agree. It could be halfway through the season where he says, I'm assigning everything to him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Flus is going to control it, but I think he's going to be comfortable enough to allow somebody to relieve him of that responsibility. And I think that's what's most important.
I think that's the next step. I think that's the next step in his coaching. I mean, if Eberflus wants to maintain his job and continue to progress as a coach of the Chicago Bears, I don't think he can be focusing on game day on just on the defensive play calling, because that's taking his attention away from the rest of this team.
Okay,
Maybe let me ask double paycheck.
Let me ask you guys this.
Hold on. Picture a beautiful painting. Picture the Mona Lisa, right? And somebody tells you focus on the eyes because they watch you no matter where you move. When you're focused on one thing, you don't see the whole thing, right? That's just in any example in life, like Dustin just said. When you're tunnel vision, when he's focused on calling plays on defense, there's no way he can focus on everything that's going on that Bears sideline, right? There's no way.
Right.
Okay.
There's no way.
Let me ask you this. Why is it that and maybe I have the answer already, but I just want to hear what you guys got to say. Why is it that it's cool for the better coaches like or the longer tenure coaches like Andy Reid, Sean Payton, even Bill Belichick at a time, also the Matt LaFleur's and the what's the
Darius, guy? I think Darius, I think that's a matter of trust. I think it's a bad thing.
But why could they, do both and not Eberflus?
But there's plenty of examples of those guys grooming Andy Reid grooming offensive coordinators.
That's what I'm saying.
Who coached the Chicago Bears, right? But Matt Nagy became an offensive coordinator for that Chiefs team. So I mean, he's still looking to pass that on. And like Brandon said, it's a matter of trust. So we got to see that trust develop between Flus and Eric Washington. But all those coaches you just mentioned have groomed guys who have become head coaches underneath them at defensive coordinator position or offensive coordinator position. Well, and that's what I mean by the next evolution of head coach.
And look at Matt Nagy. He didn't succeed. If Matt Nagy was calling plays as opposed to Andy Reid, would he have been a better head coach when he was? Because he sucked. He sucked as the head coach.
I think the same issue existed with Matt Nagy, guys. He was too focused on calling cute offensive plays instead of focused on managing the roster and the games and situations.
I agree.
But see, I think you said something, Dustin. I think you said something. You said one word. You said cute. You know what I'm saying? We didn't need cute.
I have to disagree with it on the Aggie thing. His first year when he won Coach of the Year, he won the Coach of the Year.
Yeah,
he was 2008. That was his cute year when he was doing a bunch of little tricky stuff. And when it doesn't work, believe me, everybody said that's the worst thing that ever happened. Why would you call something like that? Trick plays work a lot. And that year it worked a lot. He became coach of the year.
But Salty,
the next year, he went out and he says, I'm coach of the year. I'm going to beat you X's versus O's, just drawing it out. And that's when he got exposed as being a bad coach.
But Salty, when he got a different quarterback in Justin Fields, very different from Trubisky, he had no idea how to alter an offense around the skill set of a different player. And that's not a guy who can be a head coach or a play caller in the NFL, to be honest.
Well, no one's figured that out yet.
But see, Trubisky only had one level. You know, where Matt Nagy was trying to take Trubisky, he couldn't go.
No.
Neither could Fields. That's the point.
Absolutely.
Couldn't, because Shane Waldron's different. Shane Waldron's going to look at the skill set of a player like Geno Smith, who can't do it all, and he's going to put you in a position to win football games by asking you to do what you can. And that's just, Matt Nagy didn't do that. He wanted Justin Fields to play in his mold versus building an offense around the mold that already was Justin Fields. And that is failing football at every level. I mean, you can coach like that in high school. You're not going to win games.
Well, they wanted to do the same thing with Fields to try and do that, and it's impossible. Some guys just don't have the skill set to do it. Trubisky does, trading up to get him, just never.
But you got to be aware of that. You got to react to that. If Justin Fields doesn't have the ability to be the pocket passer that you want him to be, you got to exploit the fact that the guy can run for 140 yards a game. Like,
what do you just have a great backup quarterback and just run him until he gets hurt? I mean, you really don't have another plan.
I mean, but what the Shanahans tend to do, they tend to draft more than one.
No, what Shanahan does, Kyle Shanahan does is put a quarterback in his system and he exploits his strengths. Dustin,
well, I'm gonna finish.
Guys, let me exploit the strengths of a waffle cone sundae at Serendipity Ice Cream. Serendipity Ice Cream is in Griffith, Indiana. They got awesome treats. I see Tracks posting all the pictures of their donuts. Man, I'm trying to stay away from donuts, but those look too good to stay away from. I recommend, if you're in Griffith, Indiana, go hit up Serendipity Ice Cream for their delectable funnel cake sundae at 120 North Griffith Boulevard in Griffith, Indiana.
Dustin, I want to hear, you're a Niners fan. You're a big Niners fan. You grew up, your grandpa watched games on the couch. Yeah. Shanahan is probably the best coach in the NFL at what? What does he do with a quarterback that no other head coach besides maybe Kevin O'Connell?
He eliminates, what he does is he eliminates the opportunity for mistakes. He makes the game very easy for the quarterback.
He exploits your strength. That's what he does. He does it best. He took a seventh, the very last Mr. Irrelevant, and thought, this guy's got strengths and we're going to fucking use them. And the weaknesses, we're just going to leave out of the goddamn playbook, right?
Well, at the same time, they took a guy at number 3 overall that they've already traded off their team. It can go both ways. Here we have Caleb Williams, and we're hoping that Shane Waldron is the guy that can tap into Caleb and turn what his strengths are into production on the field. And I believe that's going to happen. But I believe for that to happen, Matt Eberflus needs to be overseeing that. You see it on Hard Knocks every week, guys. He's checking in with Caleb. What did you see here? How did you feel about? That's my favorite part about Hard Knocks right now, because that's how I would approach an assistant manager at my Lou Malnati's location. Where, like, how did you feel about how you approached this? And this is how we're going to.
Why did you fail?
Yeah. Or why did you succeed? So that you can then replicate that on a weekly basis. Those check-ins are huge, and Eberflus needs to be doing that. So I guess my bigger concern is that if you're constantly focused on setting up your defensive play calling for that week and installing that, then how much time is that going to take away from you doing those check-ins with your quarterback and overseeing your offensive coordinator, making sure that quarterback is developing, because that's got to be the biggest focus in Chicago right now, guys. Developing Caleb Williams into a Super Bowl winning quarterback. That's got to be the biggest focus.
Because the whole preseason has been Eberflus against Shane. I mean, not preseason, but all the training camp. They're against each other. He's been coaching the defense the whole time, and Shane's been coaching the offense. So it's been. You're right. Through most of these practices, he has not been hands-on with the offense whatsoever. Now he goes to all the meetings, does, like you were saying, what did you see on this? What did you see on that? But he's been coaching the defense while Shane's been doing the offense through the whole preseason.
And there's examples of that working. there's examples of that working just in the Chicago Bears franchise. You know, Buddy Ryan and Ditka, they hated each other. The defense hated the offense, and they kept those things separate. But when it was game day, they came together like a perfect machine. So I mean, I'm not saying that that's not possible, but I am saying that if my head coach is my CEO, I want his hands on everything to know that I have the right guy. That's all.
Exactly. That's what I'm agreeing with you on that.
Dustin, you mentioned development, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm a guy that always says that development is on the player. It's not really on the organization. I think the organization is
no
there.
way. I'm sorry. That's a symbiotic relationship.
It's on both.
Now, listen. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Both.
Hear me out. The organization has a game plan for you. They have a target. They have a way they want you to play. Okay. The reason why they drafted you because they felt like you fit what they need you to do. Or what they need you to do, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, but as far as development, that's totally on the player. And Caleb has done a great job of developing himself, and the coaches that he's been under has enhanced him. You know what I'm saying? Now, Caleb has come in more developed than Justin, Trubisky, and anybody else that we brought in a very long time. Caleb's already where those guys were trying to get to because of his work ethic, because of his development. You know what I'm saying? Him and his team. Now, when it comes down to the team dynamic, they're putting things in front of you, and this is who they want you to be. It's up to that player to go and work on those things and be, you know what I'm saying, use his skill set to be the best that he can be for a particular team. You know what I'm saying? I'll always stand on development being on the player. Now, you have coaches that can enhance it, but the development is totally on the player.
Yeah,
okay, but if you had a choice,
so do you don't think Matt Nagy's development of Justin Fields was egregious?
Justin Fields didn't have it to begin with, sir.
I like that answer. I think it's on both. I think it has been on both. But I'll ask you this question.
But do you think Justin Fields could have succeeded in a better developmental system?
No. He didn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes to be what we
I agree. I think he's terrible taking direction, but I think he had a skill set to be a good quarterback if somebody had kind of learned his skill set, which didn't happen.
But his skill set is not sustainable for being an NFL quarterback. It's not.
But it can get you a good couple of years.
Yeah, but we that's the problem with the franchise as a whole. We've been just good by just getting by at this position.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
We got a quarterback now.
We got a quarterback now.
Every GM in the league, you never see this happen. Didn't happen last year. Doesn't happen. Very rarely happens. Every GM in the league would have taken him number one.
Yeah, but you got a quarterback now who still needs to be developed by coaches.
Sure.
Well, every team in the league taking.
But you can see that he can go through progressions already. He goes through progressions better.
But to my point, he's got to be developed by his coaches.
Sure.
He's a great talent, but he's got to be developed by coaches to play at this level. Coaches have a lot to do with development. There's no doubting that. Like
he's got.
What about the people that say Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have been Patrick Mahomes if he was drafted to the Bears because he went with Andy Reid? That's them saying the development of the coach made Patrick Mahomes who he is.
No, it's the system. It's the system. It's the Andy Reid system.
It's the coach.
It's okay. The coach creates the system, right? But Patrick Mahomes coming here to a blank canvas was not going to be the Patrick Mahomes coming to Kansas City.
Because the coaches developed the player as much as the player.
Alex Smith was in Kansas City playing
and winning
really well at the time. Yes.
And winning.
10-win games in a row.
Matt Castle was in Kansas City and winning. You know?
Right. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo in a well-coached, coaching developed system is good, but he's not. Like,
No, he was never really good. He was just okay.
So Dustin, where do you stand on the coaching / player development?
What do you? That's a very general question. What do you mean?
Does the player?
I think it's not just the coaching; it's the organization. It's what do they have in place to help develop that quarterback? I think that the Bears are doing this really well, guys. I think that they had a plan in place. They went and got weapons to put around Caleb Williams because they knew they were drafting him. They got rid of the incumbent quarterback,
But not
because
just
they
the
knew he would
weapons, man.
cause issues.
Not just the system.
No, I'm
The
not
the
just that.
Bears
They
were
went.
allowing the Bears were telling Caleb in training camp to throw at every angle off platform
That
to
I was just
jump
about
and
to get to that. I was just
yeah.
about to get to that because they're telling him to take the chances in practice to learn. They had a certain amount of preseason snaps that they had that they wanted to get to for him in order for him to have a successful preseason. They've had it all lined up. They've done this the right way, and they didn't do it the right way with Justin Fields, and they didn't do it the right way with Mitch
everything
Trubisky.
out of it.
And Darius, I'm
Well-
not discrediting you because the player,
No,
the
I'm not
players,
looking at it like that.
the player's ability to learn and the player's ability to adapt is just as important as the coach's ability to adapt to the player, right? Like that's what makes perfect harmony is like when you have a guy. Justin Fields didn't want to learn from Andy Dalton or Nick Foles, which I thought was stupid. But when the player is willing to learn and the coaches are willing to learn from the player, because right, that happens. Let's be honest, guys. The coaches have to learn from the player. That's the way, because you can say all day in practice, like the coaches are showing him this and they're showing him that. No, the coaches are also watching what he's doing well. That's the most important part of coaching is like this guy, we're learning what his skill set is. Every quarterback's going to fail in one area or the other, right?
Yeah.
I think if they
Like
gave
Tom Brady
Justin,
wasn't a phenomenal rushing quarterback. The best quarterbacks in the league still struggled at something. So the ability for a coach to learn the player is just as important. It really
The
is.
The
I
best,
think if
the
Justin-
best coaches.
the best,
The
the best, I think if they gave Justin the best quarterback coach ever made in a laboratory, within 2 weeks, that coach would get up and run as fast as he could right into a wall. He'd be so frustrated. He'd be like,
Hey guys, real
something
quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick. Next Saturday before our Bears game at 1 p.m., 46, Doug Plank will be at Worth Stadium Club with Brandon Trax Hyatt and Chicago Sports Podcast in Worth, Illinois at 1 p.m.
Next Saturday before the Bears.
Yeah,
game.
I was just wondering if that's Sunday. I think he's saying Saturday. Trax put this in here. So
The day before?
Oh, the day before the Bears game.
Yes. Saturday before the Bears game. You know, we got Doug Plank at Worth Stadium. Make sure you guys go check that out. We've interviewed Doug Plank on here. He's a great interview. That guy.
Oh, you should. Yeah, that guy.
Oh my God, the stories that guy has.
He likes to hurt people. There's no doubt about that.
He likes breaking helmets.
didn't he, like,
Saturday, the day before, yeah.
does he have a bunch of McDonald's franchises or something? I forgot years ago. I mean, I really don't know a lot about.
We didn't really when we
No.
interviewed him, we didn't dive into like his personal stuff. I think he wrote a book, and we were talking about just football, and he was talking about like he undersold himself somewhat, right, Dustin? Like this guy was so modest. He was like, I was like bottom of the league, like catfish.
Well, but what was cool about that is that he understood that he thought that, and he worked his ass off to make a roster and
there's a defense called
did.
and there's a defense currently called the 4-3 that's named after Doug Plank.
I got
Literally.
Chicago Sports Podcast saying Burger King. I got Plank saying Burger King.
Oh,
franchise.
maybe it was Burger King then. Yeah, I thought it was a fast food. Yeah, and also Doug Plank is concussion proof.
Dude,
Well, I mean, at a time when
guys-
concussions didn't.
If anybody could have had what it was him.
he is the definition of defense.
It was the 4-6 that was after him. The famous 4-6, not 4-3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay, guys. I think we've attacked a good portion of how we're feeling about this Bears team going into this season. We're gonna wrap it up here, but before I do, I just want to go around the horn here and kind of ask everybody, what do you think the Bears' record is this year? We'll start with our newest member, Captain Salty, in terms of what are you looking at for a Bears record in this?
I'm going to say
upcoming season?
conservatively 12-5. If things go right, better.
Whoa.
Definitely taking the North and having a deep run through the playoffs.
Taking the North over Detroit and Green Bay.
Well, we beat Detroit like a drum for 7 quarters seven and 3/4 quarters last year. So I'm not worried about Detroit.
Detroit is improved on defense. We
weren't that good last year. We still beat them up and down the field.
All right. Brandon, where are you at with this Bears team for the upcoming season? How do you see their record playing out?
I like them at 11-6 in the playoffs, losing first round. I don't like them
Captain Salty, let's go.
I don't like them winning the division, though. I don't love that.
Yeah, I know you're a Packers fan, so I get that.
Yeah, the Packers are winning the division. That's my opinion. Yep. I think Jordan Love's going to be a much better quarterback than Jared Goff. But I think the Bears finish 11-6. I think they make the playoffs. And the question relies with me is where do they win the playoff game or no? I don't think they're a Super Bowl team. But I think the future is bright, guys. I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're a double-digit win team, and I think 11-6 is the ceiling, and I think they reached that potential.
Darius.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Brandon with 11-6. But when it comes to the playoffs, a lot of that is predicated on the matchup we get. I think, like I said before, once the postseason starts, it's a new season. Depending on where we fall and who we play first, you know what I'm saying? I can't sit up here and tell you guys that the Bears are going to win the Super Bowl, but I do know this. Once the playoffs start, anything can happen. But regular season wise, 11-6, we enter the postseason. That means we have a chance. And depending on who the matchups we see, they could be favorable. And shoot, one win, could build. We can build on that one win and win another and win another. And next thing you know, it's February and we there.
Yeah.
Are you predicting a Super Bowl?
Darius,
are you predicting a Super Bowl?
Are you on record calling a Super Bowl out?
Yeah.
Well, I just know during the postseason, man, anything can happen. And
right.
If we get the proper matchup, why not?
You guys heard it here from Darius on Chicago Sports.
Darius predicting a Super Bowl win for the Chicago Bears.
Why not, man? I mean,
hey Darius, if they do, we're gonna cut this into a reel. You know that.
Hey, I love
it. Could be viral.
I love it.
And if they don't, we're gonna cut this into a reel.
11-6 is where I stand, and if we get in the playoffs, man, we got a chance.
I could definitely see 11-6. I think that's where I'm at as well, guys. I think this Bears team is ready to really surprise.
I think they have an easy schedule.
They have an easy schedule. They're ready to surprise this league. It's gonna get down to the nitty come week 11 once they start playing some divisional games and really the rubber's gonna meet the road there. I just completed a Madden regular season where we went 12-5. So that's a good sign, right? Yeah. Caleb threw for 4,500 yards.
Acquire Marvin Harrison Jr.
And Zach Frazier, yeah, for sure. But I gave up Keenan Allen, man. So I mean, it's a fair trade.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would love to see the Bears get a playoff win. We saw it last year with the Green Bay Packers beating the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody expected that to happen.
Smoking the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, beating the crap out of them. So nobody expected that to happen. So I mean, I think we're all having some pretty positive vibes about the Bears this year. Captain Salty, you did a great job today, man. Thank you for jumping in here.
Absolutely.
Salty, good job, man.
Thanks.
Darius,
Captain Salty, where can we find you? It looks like you're a TikTok.
Well, I got a TikTok thing, and then everything else is on the Facebook and stuff like that. But I mean,
did you spell TikTok? Did you spell TikTok wrong? I'm not a big TikTok aficionado, but
I'm not on there at all.
Isn't it TIK? TikTok? Or am I?
We understand what you mean. It's all good.
Thanks.
We get it.
Brandon, where can we find you at, boss?
Guys, you can find me here on the CSP Chicago Sports Podcast Monday nights at 9:00 every week with Darius, Dustin, and now Salty. And you can also find me at 4-Star Chicago Sports. That's going to be at 7:00 on Mondays. That's subject to change, but we're probably going to be doing shows throughout the week. And check our content out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, same thing, guys. But give some love to Chicago Sports Podcast too, guys. This is where This is where I kicked off my podcasting career, is here on Chicago Sports Podcast. Dustin, what about you? Where can we find you, bud?
Like I was just saying, we just did our inaugural 4-star Chicago Sports Podcast tonight. I thought it went pretty well. Could have went better. I mean, CSP, I'm here every Monday with you guys. Love CSP, always repping it. You know, Trax is the man.
Dustin, we
We're killing it.
appreciate you as a host for sure, man.
I'm
Absolutely,
doing my
man.
best. I did not like that I got a phone call while we were in the middle of our show and from work. I still got to call that person back, but it fucked up my sound so bad.
Yeah,
but I got out quick.
You got it fixed. You got it fixed.
Yeah, I got out quick and got back in. Darius, where can we find you at, boss? What you up to?
CSP, baby.
Thursday.
No, Darius. You got a private channel. I watched a video of you on your birthday at a bar. What? So was that?
Oh yeah. Hey, listen,
is that
man.
just Darius on Facebook? Darius
Yeah,
Lockhart on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Darius Lockhart. CSP, of course. Mondays with you guys, and Thursdays with Pinky, Q, and Bruce
Leroy.
Yes, sir. But shout out to you guys on your inaugural podcast, 4 stars. That's a good look for you guys. That's a good thing, man.
Guys, yeah. CSP is going to be back on Wednesday with Sean, Kyle, and Brian. We'll be back on Thursday with Darius, Q, Pinky, and Bruce Leroy. We do a Friday show as well, and then we come right back at you again on Monday, trying to put out as much content as we can for you guys. Very happy to have Captain Salty on with us. Very happy to have these sponsors, Underdog Fantasy, Elite Icons, Framing and Memorabilia. Don't forget, October 1st, Keenan Allen's going to be doing an autograph signing for Elite Icons. So, I mean, a lot of cool stuff going on. Trax is the man, putting us on. We had a great show tonight. I want to shout out everybody and Trax saying he's going to be back on Mondays as long as it's not too hot in his garage. Totally understand. Plank says Dustin, Captain Salty, Brandon, Warriors, Trax, great show. Thank you. Bear down, guys. Bear down.
Thank you, Plank. Appreciate you.
Plank, Calvin Swanson, Bruja, Bearski Film, as always. Thank you, Bud, Dante, Ant Mass, Cliff. I mean, just a bunch of awesome people. BJR Film.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Y'all were killing it in the chat tonight. Thank you for the support. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you come back and watch us again on Wednesday. Make sure you come back and watch us again on Thursday and Friday, and then back again on Monday, all right? Bear down. Have a great rest of your night.
Bear down, Chi-Town.
Yes, bear down. Bear down.
Love you guys. Good job.